about, his about, his whole shenanigan, his whole shebang about, saying, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that everyone wasn't talking about Biden being senile. I mean, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious cretaceous." So in case you're living under a rock, in case you are, by the way, thank you to the people giving super chats. I'll be reading them a little bit after in the next break. Let's go ahead and bring this up here because the beginning is a very delicate time.
You made this comment earlier in the campaign about Joe Biden. Let's take a listen to that.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have no. That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
Diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked about a cognitive decline.
Yes, cognitive decline. So, look, I want to pull up another video here, okay? Just another one for all of you lovely, beautiful people watching, okay? Just so all of you can see it.
There's a book that came out recently by Jake Tapper of CNN and Axios, Alex Thompson, called Original Sin. It's about the cover-up decline of Joe Biden and the disastrous choice of him choosing to run in 2024 until he was forcibly ejected from the ticket. We all have problems with this, and it's essentially Jake Tapper. It's a co-authored book, but it's Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper is a CNN grandee, 7-figure salary, kind of an iconic figure in this left-wing media outlet. But my point is this: for the last 4 years, again and again and again, if anybody questioned the obvious mental decline of Joe Biden, his cognitive difficulties, Jake Tapper, and went on CNN, Jake Tapper tore them apart. The locus classicus was Laura Trump, who said that he's obviously as early as 2020 in decline. And he suggested that she was berating him for a childhood stutter, which was absolutely ridiculous.
Now, I want to pull up this article here. Definitely a huge shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Pundit Stephen A. Smith took a shot at CNN anchor Jake Tapper over revelations in his new book, focusing on the former President Biden's mental decline toward the end of his presidency. Smith argued Tapper deserves the criticism he is getting over the book, much of which questions what he knew about Biden's mental state as he covered the former president's final weeks in office. But why did he deserve it? Here is why. You got the video of him talking to Laura Trump and how condescending he was to her, Smith said while appearing on News Nation's Cuomo. And I'm certainly not here to throw shade on him. I don't play that game, he continued. I'm just talking about facts. They are what they are, and we see it. Smith, a sports commentator who has dabbled in politics more recently, took issue with what he said has been Tapper's attitude while promoting his new book, Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, its cover-up, and his disastrous choice to run again, written alongside Axios' Alex Thompson. And so it's about how you were acting towards people who had the audacity to be the opposite and express some level of dissent to what you were saying and what you were reporting on and what your network was reporting on. It's not the fact that you were just wrong. It was the defiance and the condescending approach that you had, a dismissive approach that you had towards others, he added. Smith's increasing commentary on politics has sparked speculation he might run for president as a Democrat. Now, of course, there's been also other people talking about Jake Tapper. And here is something that came out recently. I want to pull up this video here as well.
Do you think that Joe Biden really would have been able to perform as president all the way through January 2029 when he would be 86?
Yes, I thought that back then. I still think that. He still thinks it. Tudor Dixon, former candidate for Michigan governor, and Mark Pryor, former Arkansas senator. Great to see you both. Tudor, when you hear him say that he still thinks that Jim Clyburn is a big name in the Democratic Party, always has been able to deliver a lot of the black vote for early primaries for Democrats as congressman, what's your reaction to him?
Well, Harris, I think it's interesting that you point out that he's a big name for Democrats because he is also 84 years old and he's defending a longtime friend. I honestly think that people are going to set this aside as just someone who has not been willing to let go of the past. The evidence is out there. The disturbing thing is that we all saw the evidence. We all talked about it. Harris, how many times did you talk about it? And now Jake Tapper's going to get rich off of talking about what he hid before. I think that's the real crime here.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's be clear here. Okay. Let's be very clear here. Okay. There was full-on cover-up of Joe Biden and his decline. And I want to pull up this other video here because, first of all, or at least no, hold on. Let's not pull up this video here instead. Look, Jake Tapper, as a CNN journalist, had access, just like ABC, MSNBC, NBC, all of them had access to the Biden-Harris administration. And while corporate media didn't talk about it, independent media did. Much that did lead to a lot of people in independent media being silenced, censored, suppressed, pushed aside, kicked aside, all that good jazz, right? We have seen how they formed their little shield wall around the Biden-Harris administration. We saw firsthand how everybody was falling in line around the Democrats during the 2020 election cycle. But yet we have seen countless videos. And even then, I would say to the Trump administration or to the Trump campaign of 2020, I mean, you had a treasure trove of videos and a lot of political ammunition to use against Joe Biden at the time, and you chose not to do it. You chose to not get involved. You chose to stay away. You chose to not actively participate and really call out. I mean, that's just what all of corporate media did. They chose not to get actively involved. And yet, Joe Biden was falling apart. We and independent media called it out. We made the choice of standing up against it. And corporate media, being what it was quick to say, "Oh, if you talk about Biden's mental health, oh, you're being insensitive," or "No, this is all fake news." I mean, the Trump administration really, again, why they failed to really act on it or promote it more in 2020 says a lot. I mean, I don't know why they were playing it safe, but in the aftermath of those 4 years, what did we see? And what have we all found out? That there was a lack of access to the president. There was a lack of real accountability with the president. Nobody was brave enough to really speak out about the president. And now that it's politically safe, now that Biden's not in office, you have people like Jake Tapper that are posturing themselves as truth tellers when in reality, he knew, they knew, everybody knew. They all knew. And now it's safe to talk about original sin. Now it's safe to talk about the fact that, oh no, hey, everybody, Joe Biden. Joe, 30330, his brain was melting. He wasn't there. Turns out he had prostate cancer. By the way, it metastasized in his bones now. That means somebody knew, and either they neglected to inform Biden or they were trying to cover it up. Can you imagine if Biden won and this news dropped now about him not being physically fit? Our media is a joke. Our system is a joke. It's a clown show. I've seen Saturday morning cartoon shows that had more sense in the plot than anything that we're seeing now. And yet Jake Tapper's writing this book, and there's going to be suckers out there that are going to buy it. And then what? To these people who are buying this book and being shocked. Are you telling me now that from here on out, you're going to believe anything that the Democrats put on your table? I mean, AOC and Bernie Sanders, as soon as Joe Biden made his announcement, were quick right out the gate to endorse him. I really have to wonder how many people knew. And because of this, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to think, in my opinion, I think a lot of people knew. How many cowards are out there in this world? So many cowards. So many little cowards. afraid to speak out.
Radio station just censored the word devil. Clearly, we are on a different level. I guess you wouldn't notice all the rolling boulders crashing past your shoulders when you're taught to shift your focus lower, scream at all the pebbles. Cheering on the bombers because you can't abide the rebels. But I bet you'll wring your bloody hands when all the dust has settled, when the last little limb is pulled from Gaza's twisted metal. Then you can say how you were led astray, and never once in all your days would you have knowingly supported all the genocide for which you clapped and prayed. But they baited you with unconfirmed blurbs about babies until you were filled with rage. Yet someone told you babies had been starving, bombed, and caged for nearly 80 years in Gaza, and you looked the other way. So regret, but make it fashion. Go and pluck that final petal off a hyacinth on Instagram for every kid they kettled. Every son that Israel imprisoned when they're little, that they tortured for a decade, then surprised with their acquittal. And when they got released and saw their parents, and whenever siblings hadn't met the missiles, they stared right through their middle. Their eyes don't seem to focus, and their words are all but dribble, like they're pondering the darkest riddle. That is, how many false flags does it take to make humanity inhuman and uncivil, distorted by the revel? The crooked slant where Israel contorts into America, Biden bathing Bibi in a bloodbath in the bevel. I opened up my feed and I saw children disassembled. Turned some music on and heard the station censor devil. Imagine thinking Doja Cat's a threat to moral fabric in the single largest terror cell that ever felled a temple, that ever sparked a cleansing, that ever burned a market, that ever raped with bayonets or carpet-bombed apartments, that ever turned your water off and left you in the darkness, left you doing surgery on children while they're conscious. You sing the devil's praises every time you sing our anthem. You sing a hymn to him that watched us birth a million phantoms. You'll proudly wave his flag, and yet you will not name the devil? Well, clearly, we are on a different level. I can give you names, shit, I'll give you several. They say the devil wears a different face for every general, like a composite of the char he brought to fields of emerald, and the wail of every childhood we made ephemeral. So who else has left the stain of blood on everything they touch? Who else can starve civilians and they don't so much as blush? Who else has paid for Gaza being flattened into dust? If there's ever been a devil on this earth, then it is us. That's U.S. What an ugly couple letters. Feeding shit and ignorance to those it chose to tether. From the river to the sea, both are slowly growing redder. For the devil that you know just knows you better. It knows every gut reaction it could ever make you feel. It knows fear is that which wakes you up and gets you on your wheel. It knows just the kind of story that will justify its war. And the scripts are wrapped for World War IV. So just imagine my surprise to give the radio a listen and to hear such pious morals out of Zionists and Christians that they'd take the devil's name and try to clip it from existence while they carry out his bloody business. You would wave a fascist flag, and yet you honor not your Iblis? Name you not Apollyon? Hush you now your witness? Bleed the name of Belial till tongue is rolling listless in the man-made mouth of Mammon as Lamia's whispers listen. When carts are wheeling bodies through the cities that we crushed, and the very air is rotten with decay of all that was, who else would censor devil yet behave as Legion does? If there's ever been a devil on this earth, then it is us. U.S., but not a unity of souls. More a mass of corporations turning houses into holes, turning people into puppets, turning puppets into mold, turning mold into nutrition bars worth their weight in gold because they're bombing every bakery and burning every field with phosphorus that never once has wanted for a meal. The devil wears a mask and it delights in the reveal, in that moment where the face is let to peel. We do not love the underdog. We do not cheer the rebels. We lust for all their blood until the dust has finally settled. Then pity just ourselves that we were so misled to revel. Proudly wave his flag, and yet we will not name the devil.